This is Volusia Today, a public information radio program brought to you by the County of Volusia.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Volusia Today. I am Clayton Jackson with the county's Community Information Division. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. Volusia Today is made possible by our sponsors, the Daytona Beach International Airport, the Ocean Center, Volusia Recycles, and Votran Public Transportation. I'm joined this morning by our co-host, Heather Belden. How's it going, Heather?
It's going great. Happy Friday, everybody.
Yes, ma'am. And, there's a couple weeks we have school starting back. So how are you and your family preparing for this?
Well, we've got littles, so not too much of a big back-to-school bash for us. But, you know, going out there, getting some new clothes, new sneakers. Every kid's got to have a new pair, new backpacks, lunchboxes, all the fun stuff.
And speaking of those supplies, is there something that our listeners with school-age children should be aware of?
That's right, everybody. Don't forget, right now, it started back on July 24th, but you have all the way to August 6th to get those tax-free items. So I think you can head online and Google it to see what items are applicable for tax-free.
All right. Well, everybody just make sure to take advantage of that and save a little bit of money. So joining us today is a couple people from our Traffic Engineering Division. We have the director, Jay Williams, and Addison Caldwell, a traffic engineer tech. How are you guys doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
All right, so we just led into going into the back-to-school season. We got a couple weeks still for our children and the parents to enjoy the summer. I guess for the parents, I guess that depends on if you're looking forward to school starting back or not. There might be various opinions on that one. But so what role does the traffic engineering and traffic science signals role, like what is the role of traffic engineering in the getting the children back to school?
So we take a maintenance role. We maintain all of the school flashers within our jurisdiction that are near school locations. And then we also will review the signing and the pavement markings to make sure they're compliant with all of the national, state, and local requirements. And we also work with school staff and law enforcement to review school sites and to make sure that things are safe and that the roadway is appropriate for school traffic.
What are kind of the big things that you look for when you're trying to make a school safer in terms of traffic engineering?
So one thing we want is visibility. So we want them to know that they're entering a school area where kids may be present. So making sure they have the right signs to give you advance notice, crosswalks or school markings to let people know to slow down, flashing beacons, those kinds of things. So we want drivers, their attention to be focused on the roadway when they enter a school area.
And speaking of those flashing beacons, whenever before school or schools are just getting out or getting ready to get out, law enforcement doesn't play around with that, 15, 20 mile per hour zone whenever that's flashing?
Right. Yep. Yeah, there's some stiff penalties intentionally, and we work with our law enforcement partners a lot to do enforcement in those areas to really drive home the point that it's important that drivers, take care around schools because pedestrians, especially young kids, are very vulnerable in those environments.
So what about long morning drop-off lines and long pickup lines? Do you guys help with managing that congestion issue?
Yeah, Addison.
Yeah, every school tends to be unique. That's something I have been working with the different schools. We work with the staff, with the local law enforcement, crossing guards. It's hard. Everybody's trying to get somewhere at the same time. But yeah, we do work on that. We set different timing schedules for the lights and different traffic patterns to help minimize that staging. But we do ask that the parents do follow the regulations and the time set so we can try to work together to combat that.
And the first couple weeks is always trial and error. Not for, I mean, maybe for you guys a little bit, but also for parents as well. Like, it's like, oh, do I need to leave at 7 a.m.? Do I need to leave at 7:10? And then maybe a couple weeks down the road, it's like, well, now everybody's kind of figured out. They're in their zone. They have a good pattern. So then maybe they could leave 5 or 10 minutes later. But those first couple weeks, especially, that's better plan to leave extra early, just to get the kids there on time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, usually that's when it's the worst, and like you said, after a few weeks, things sort of settle down and people are in a more routine, and they sort of know what to expect at that point.
The parents aren't trying to pull into the staff parking lot,
Right.
anything like
Or
that
the bus
anymore.
loop.
Right,
Or,
yeah.
or dropping them off across the street, and there's no sidewalk or zone, something like that. So yeah, it's just, again, for everybody out there who's going to be dropping their children off, just take a little bit extra time in the morning. Maybe we'll set out the backpacks, prep the lunches the night before to
Right.
make sure you got a good plan for the next morning, because it can be hectic.
Definitely.
Now, Addison, you said something that kind of made me question that you work with the traffic lights to set patterns. Like, so you guys are going in there and you're actually setting how long a red light is.
Yeah, that's more of on our signal side. They do all that, and again, those follow majority of standards that are set by FDOT, NETCD, different signal trainings. I can't speak much of that. Jay may have a little bit more.
Yeah, so a lot of our signal timing is based on the travel patterns, and obviously with school traffic, those patterns are different than normal, like morning and PM rush hours. So usually the schools may have different arrival and dismissal times, like on Wednesdays, early releases, things like that. So we'll make adjustments. Most of our signals we can communicate with remotely. So we can even do things on the fly if there's an issue to sort of make adjustments and allow that better flow for traffic movements.
So it's not just random.
No, it's not just random. Sometimes
That's
people may
awesome.
think that it is. We get complaints about it, but
There are quite a few out there that are adaptive systems that they actually work based on the traffic flow for the day down the line. So each signal works with the next.
Nice.
That's cool.
That's neat. So we heard there's something called a community traffic safety team in our county. What organizations are part of this group, and how does this group contribute to school safety?
I'll take. Yeah, there's two in this county. We have an east side and west side, and it's everywhere from FDOT to Volusia County or Volusia Sheriff's Office, Volusia County Traffic Engineering, crossing guards, schools, even developers, residents are also welcome to come. We brainstorm, we have problems and solutions for them. We talk about what's going on, what's upcoming, and find different ways to combat these different traffic issues.
That's really cool. So if anyone was interested in the public, they can just contact your division, find out when the next meeting is, and join along.
Absolutely.
Really nice. So we're talking about safety. What's kind of the most important message that you guys would have for maybe your own children or your children's friends when it comes to safety guidelines and proper use of crosswalks when they're at their school and things like that?
well, one, you want to always be aware of your surroundings. So taking care to make sure you're not stepping out in front of a vehicle or doing anything unsafe. Same thing for drivers. You want to be aware and attentive of your surroundings at all time. Be on the lookout for pedestrians. Don't use your phone and be distracted when you're driving. Be slow and don't speed more than the speed limit. And those things I think can go a long way to making things safer.
So speaking of texting, for all of our listeners in the middle school and high school age group, because we know they just love listening to government outreach radio. But I see more and more children in our neighborhoods, they're riding their bikes and they're texting or on Facebook or Twitter or something like. I had problems standing up when I was driving, riding my bike. Like, what's your message to them?
Yeah, so being distracted can impact pedestrians, people on bicycles, drivers. So anybody that's, out in an environment where there's a potential for crashes, you should be focused on what you're doing and try to resist the urge to use your phone or text or do anything that's going to take your attention away from what you're doing.
Yep. So parents out there, you may want to talk to your children and say, hey, I'm not allowed to text when I'm driving my vehicle. You may want to put down the phone when you're riding your bicycle because you could come across a crosswalk. I'm not joking. I see kids all the time in our neighborhood riding their bikes and they have their one hand on the handlebar and the cell phone in the other.
You said Facebook or Twitter, but I'm thinking it was probably more Snapchat or TikTok.
Okay, so see, she's more into the realm of social media than I am, so she's more in tune to what the kids are into these days.
Well, I think when I was a kid, it was left, right, left. Is that still a thing that you guys are out there helping teach? So, look left once and then look right, but then you got to go check back left again before you cross. So, are there any other examples of maybe things that you guys are doing community-led where these initiatives are helping improve pedestrian safety around the schools?
So things like sidewalk projects, Public Works will take feedback from the public about where there's sidewalk gaps or we need improvements on the roadway, and we'll implement projects like that will help improve pedestrian safety. A lot of times it fills in the gaps so that people do have a way to get to and from school or to where they need to go. Doing things like adding new crosswalks or rapid rectangular flashing beacons that sort of help emphasize that there's pedestrians crossing the roadway, and we add those routinely throughout the county. So any kind of projects or things that we can do to make things safer for the public.
Yeah, we just finished a project with the city of DeBerry on High Banks there for DeBerry Elementary. Local Girl Scout troops came to us looking for a solution to make the crossing safer. They spearheaded it and they helped cross out there during those times, and it seems to be working well. They helped us realign some of the beacons to expand the school zone, but so that's another way we reach out.
Guys, y'all are doing a wonderful job keeping our schools safe, our children safe, and because a lot of people think school safety, they immediately go to other issues out there, but traffic maintenance, there's a lot that goes into that it's often overlooked. So we just want to thank you guys for everything you are doing, the other organizations that you collaborate with, again, because children are our future, and their safety is the utmost importance to everybody. Yeah. So all right, with that, we're going to take our first commercial break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Volusia Today.
Subscribe to the Volusia County YouTube channel.
And hit the bell icon to know what's happening in your hometown.
There are so many great places to explore.
And things to learn.
With over 1,000 videos available right now, the channel offers something for everyone.
Let's go!
Did you know we have countless features showcasing history, nature, wildlife, and recreation? Subscribe and hit the bell icon.
Or that we live stream important county meetings and workshops where leaders make decisions that can impact our everyday lives. Did you subscribe yet?
Or that we record our weekly radio show, Volusia Today, where we interview staff from the different divisions and departments across our great county, and they discuss the nitty-gritty of their field and expertise.
Go ahead, subscribe.
But that's not it. There's more. Subscribe and hit the bell icon and fully explore.
Score!
We're back. I'm Heather Belden along with Clayton Jackson, and you're listening to Volusia Today, a public information program brought to you by the County of Volusia. So we have Jay Williams and Addison Caldwell here with traffic safety, traffic engineering, and we are talking about safety. I think these gentlemen would say traffic engineering is their jam.
Oh, I saw what you did there. I like it, though. I like it.
Right? So we talked a little bit about school safety already. Let's go into just kind of general safety along the many roads and highways we have here in Volusia County. What are the most common distractions that you all see that are faced by drivers that you're trying to combat?
So a lot of them are similar to the ones that impact school safety, just safety along the roadway in general. Things like speeding, distracted driving, those things really do impact safety on the roadway and contribute to crashes. So anything that we can do to reduce vehicle speeds, make sure that people are paying attention where they're driving and focusing on the driving task. it should help in that regard.
Speaking of speeding, what are some of these strategies that your division uses to combat speeding?
Yes, so Addison,
Yeah, so we have a couple different programs. We do work with the community. So when they come to us, we'll review it. We'll sit out there. We'll get some radar counts. We can get traffic counts. A lot of times we do residential traffic control plans that kind of bring the entire area together. So we're not just looking at one road. We're looking at where they may be hanging up more, where they may be stopping, where the most pedestrian activity is, if there's any crashes. We implement radar feedback signs. If you've seen those out on the road, they kind of give the drivers feedback for how fast they're going. We do cut them off at a certain speed, so you're not supposed to clock yourself on it. But those are some of the things that we do out there.
So whenever I see a speed limit sign that's changed, that's probably on you guys, that you are the ones who did that?
Yes, so periodically we will conduct speed studies on our roadway just to get a gauge for how fast drivers are going. I will say sometimes it's a misconception that if you change the speed limit, that will change driver behavior, and that's actually not true. So we have to do other things besides setting the speed limit properly to try to impact driver behavior, because it's a behavioral issue. And so things like roadway design, the width of the roadway, any kind of visual constriction does more to impact the speeds that drivers are driving than the actual speed limit sign does. And so we also try to work with law enforcement to do enforcement on those folks who unfortunately don't obey the speed limit, to try to impact behavior that way as well.
Yeah, I think they just did have the Southern Slowdown last week with FDOT and all the law enforcement agencies. I did happen to catch a few police officers out with their radar guns. But Addison, you bring up a good point. Those driver feedback signs, there was one out in my community recently, and if you were going not even a lot over, maybe just a little, it started flashing blue and red, and I thought, oh my gosh, and your heart drops. But then on the other hand, after I realized that was happening, if you're going the speed limit or under, it'll give you a message that says, like, great job, driver. And I was like, wow.
I can see Heather
it's like,
smiling.
have a nice
right.
day. And as, a rule follower and a goody two-shoes, I was like, now every time I see one of those, I'm like, I got to get the good job.
You get the
I got to get
thumbs
the
up.
good job. Right. So I think for, people like me, those are great. And it's a great reminder that, slow down. We're in a neighborhood. There could be pedestrians. There could be a lot of ducks in DeLand. You never know what you're going to come across on our roads here in Volusia County.
All right. Now, I know we're going to save this a bit later, but I want to make sure we're able to give this ample time. But let's talk about roundabouts for a little bit, especially those on the west side of the county. They're no strangers to these alternative intersections. So what role do roundabouts play in safety and efficiency?
Yeah, so you mentioned there's a couple roundabouts, some newer on the west side of the county. Probably the biggest thing to remember and consider with roundabouts is that they significantly improve safety compared to traditional intersections. So anywhere around upwards of 90% reduction in fatalities, which is huge in terms of traffic safety. So the safety impacts is probably the biggest benefit for having a roundabout compared to a traditional intersection. And then other things like the environmental benefits, where there's reduced vehicle emissions, time savings because they're more efficient, and also they work without the need of power. So if there's a hurricane or a storm, they still will be able to allow traffic to move through it. And so that helps sort of in an emergency response type scenario.
And, I live near these roundabouts, and I've been able to use them in my everyday life. And I think the most important thing that I see is just take your time.
Right.
If you're not sure exactly what you're supposed to do, if you wait it out long enough, there are big gaps in the traffic. There is no one there, and you have the roundabout all to yourself to navigate it. slowly and safely. And honestly, they're so nice. And I think that's kind of the biggest message from a user of a roundabout. But you guys, you're the traffic engineering experts, so.
Yeah, and we also there's a link on our website on volusia.org that has a video that will show an example of how to drive a roundabout. So feel free for anybody that feels a little unsure about what to do. You can go to the website and find that video and then get a reminder of how to properly navigate a roundabout.
All right, so let's kind of flip to the other side of the county. What are some different things you're working on to improve traffic engineering on the beach side?
So similar to the rest of the county, we look for projects that we can implement to improve safety, maybe add in crosswalks or new pedestrian features. There's a new project that should be wrapping up in the next couple weeks in the New Smyrna Beach Silver Sands area at Atlantic and Howes, where there's a beach approach and we're converting an existing pedestrian crosswalk to a pedestrian signalized crosswalk. And so that should help improve safety, something that the residents have been in favor of. So we're looking forward to getting that project completed and up and working.
Now, I've noticed across the county with the pedestrian crosswalks, some of them you tap the little button and you get the beep beep sound, and then you can cross and you have the flashers. Some of them, they're flashing all the time. And then some of them, I've even seen cool little flags that the pedestrians can kind of, air traffic control flag themselves across the street. Is there a rhyme or reason as to which one of these you're selecting for a particular area? Do you see some of them work better than others?
Yeah, it all depends on the area and what the need is. When we're covering a large area, the ones that are on steady flash, those are kind of alerting drivers that an entire stretch is going to have pedestrian activity. When you come across the RRFBs that Jay mentioned earlier, the rapid rectangular flashing beacons, those are mostly on push button activated, so it gets your attention. If you leave those on 24/7, drivers get numb to them and they don't recognize when the need is actually there or people are crossing.
Yeah.
The flags was an initiative, mostly I think they're on the south side. That was an initiative with the local municipality, with the city. We didn't have much to do with that. They requested, and we kind of, if it improves safety, we're all for different unique strategies.
All right, speaking of promoting safety, what is your division doing to get the message out there and promote traffic safety within our county?
Yeah, so anytime we can do public outreach or get the word out to citizens about traffic safety concerns and things like that is good. Occasionally we'll have public meetings and things like that to sort of gather concerns of the public and figure out ways that we can address it. And then also working with our other partners, law enforcement, the River to Sea TPO, cities and other agencies within the county, because we all have that common goal of safety.
And say there's like a neighborhood or an area of the county that maybe they are just have concerns, about speeding or some other things regarding traffic safety. Would you recommend that maybe it doesn't fall within the county's jurisdiction, but do you recommend that they contact you all for a good starting point?
Yeah, they can always contact our office. We have an intake portal on our website on volusia.org where they can tell us about the concern, where it is, and the nature of it. And either we'll respond or we'll refer it to local law enforcement or to one of the other cities to try and get the problem resolved.
Excellent. Great information. All right, we're going to take our last commercial break. Stay with us.
Subscribe to the Volusia County YouTube channel.
And hit the bell icon to know what's happening in your hometown.
There are so many great places to explore
And things to learn.
With over 1,000 videos available right now, the channel offers something for everyone.
Let's go!
Did you know we have countless features showcasing history, nature, wildlife, and recreation? Subscribe and hit the bell icon.
Or that we live stream important county meetings and workshops where leaders make decisions that can impact our everyday lives. Did you subscribe yet?
Or that we record our weekly radio show, Volusia Today, where we interview staff from the different divisions and departments across our great county, and they discuss the nitty-gritty of their field and expertise.
Go ahead, subscribe.
But that's not it. There's more. Subscribe and hit the bell icon and fully explore.
Score!
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Clayton Jackson along with Heather Belden, and you're listening to Volusia Today. So, Jay and Addison, kind of in closing, what other recommendations do you have for pedestrians to stay safe while they're navigating, even neighborhoods or other large roadways?
Well, one is to always be attentive of your surroundings and make sure you know what's going on. Being on the lookout for anything that might be a danger, a car, or present any conflict. Also, they can do things like wear reflective clothing or reflectors on their bicycle, especially at night, because a lot of pedestrian crashes or incidents happen at night. So anything to improve your visibility as a pedestrian will help.
And you bring up a good point about the reflectors, because especially right now, all across the country, there's a heat wave. It's very, very hot. So a lot of people, they're getting out in the mornings before they're going to work or school, or they're going out in the evenings,
right,
once it cools down and the sun's not out. So that is excellent information and recommendations right there.
Yeah, and then what about for drivers? What do they need to do? Obviously, no speeding, but...
Yeah, no speeding, making sure they're paying attention, putting those cell phones down, being familiar with their surroundings. You can also check, because we get a lot of tourists in this area, find out where you're going before you leave so that, you're not distracted by trying to figure out where you're going, things like that.
And try to keep the road rage to the minimum,
yes,
correct?
definitely.
Non-existent.
Like you just said, we have a lot of out-of-town visitors, tourists who are here to explore our beautiful county, and give them a little bit of leniency. They don't drive these roads like we do every day. And was there opportunities for people to join your team?
Yeah, so we have a great team within traffic engineering, a lot of dedicated staff that works hard to try to make things safer for the residents. And anytime we can add to that group, we're looking to do so. And you can always check volusia.org to see what vacancies we have within the county.
That's excellent information. And again, just to summarize everything, hey, school is starting back in a couple of weeks. It's going to get a little crazy out there, because it's like this every year. So we just want to make sure our listeners out there, they're attentive, they stay safe, as well as, watch for the safety of our children. Guys, thank you for everything you do. Again, it is imperative. And with that, we're going to close our show for today. Have a wonderful day, Volusia County.
Thanks.
Thank you.
If you have a comment about Volusia Today, or if there is a topic you would like to hear featured, please contact Volusia County Community Information at 1-866-345-0345.